Hey guys, Script here with another video, and it's going to be the review of Skeleton Crew Episode 6. If you haven't already, you can check out my other reviews of the other 5 episodes. I'm just going to put it simply, it's an okay show with some stuff that's kind of dumb, and some stuff that's kind of cool. I think if we were to look at this show, say, 10 years ago, we might say it's not very good at all. I think some of the problem is that things have gotten so bad with Star Wars, with Lucasfilm in general, that maybe, even myself included, maybe I think this show isn't that bad because of that. But it does have some cool elements. I do like the kids. I think the kids are good actors, and I like the characters. I just don't like some of the plot situations. Some of it's very silly and not very believable and dumb. But the characters are actually good. And when you have good characters, Jude Law's character, he's also quite good. When you have good characters, you can kind of overlook some of the stupid plot points sometimes. But there are some stupid plot points. There are definitely some stupid plot points. Anyways, let's get into this, see what episode 6 brings us. Okay, so what happened here is they found all this treasure. Jude Law turned on the kids because he's now got the way to get to the planet they're from, which apparently has a whole pile of treasure, and they've been trying to get home. So anyway, so he basically, instead of taking the kids home like he promised, he wants to get rid of them. So they, through a series of events, the one kid purposely pushed the booby trap, which was like if you sat on this stool, then you fell down this giant hole. And now they've ended up down here. Now, the only thing with this is the setup that they did in the last episode with where the treasure room was, that the captain of the ship from whatever way back when had left there. It was booby trapped, like these were death traps, right? There was one that was going to cut off your head. There was one that would send you flying in the air into a bunch of spikes. There was an acid pool. So it's kind of convenient that the one that they purposely push doesn't just land on a bunch of spikes underneath, that it's just this giant slide. So again, there's plot contrivances in this show that you're kind of like, well, really? Why would the pirate be okay with people living when they do that booby trap, but every other booby trap he set up is supposed to kill everybody? So it's a plot contrivance. Let's see where we're going from here. Okay, so then we just find out that KB, the other girl with the thing on her eyes, I guess now we know it's there for a reason, and it has to be reset or she can't move, so she's got some form of illness. Okay, well, at least we know what that was for. I was like, this whole show, I've been like, why is she wearing this eye thing? Like, what are you trying to be? Like, LeVar Burton up in here? Like, at least he was blind. She isn't blind. Okay, so there is something to that. We don't know the details yet. Well, very disappointed to see the boob lady. Remember the weird boob lady thing with the weird thing on her forehead in The Last Jedi that pretty much summed up The Last Jedi? Unfortunately, they decided that once wasn't enough for that alien and put that species into this show. Oh, that thing's horrible. Look at it. Just look at it. So, in the last episode, that bounty hunter girl, with all the white skin and everything, white hair, she got screwed over by Jude Law's character and was off screen sometime in the past. They talked about it. And of course, predictably, she called pirates to come and get him because he was there. And of course, these are the same pirates that were after him earlier. They're led by the Wolfman guy. And I've said before, I kind of like the Wolfman just being like a background thing that's funny instead of an actual character, but they made him an actual character. Because everything has to have lore in Star Wars. Everything, even the most mundane, nothing that's just fun in the background and silly has to have lore. Because they just have to constantly funnel out content. Anyway, so now he's being captured, and now all of a sudden there's X-Wings for some reason. So anyway, X-Wings are after these pirates. I don't know how they knew they were there. Maybe somebody called the cops. Anyways, and then the kids are freaking out because they didn't see them, and they want to get home. And then turns out KB actually saved the coordinates to Ad-Aten somehow. in her brain or whatever. I guess it showed it on the screen. Yeah, I mean, okay, so maybe with her tech, she was able to do that. Okay, that's fair enough. So they have to find a way to get back up to their ship, which is up on the platform way above them. Okay, so whatever, they're figuring out what they're going to do. They're talking about climbing the cliff, and then all of a sudden these little crabs with with little gizmoids attached to their backs. They're using the gizmoids as shells. Okay, I did see a preview or a clip from this where there's, I guess, a giant crab. So you can kind of see where this is going. But anyway, okay, and then KB chooses Wim's idea, which is to follow the little crab guys to find somebody rather than trying to climb the cliff. And so they split up, and the girls have a little bit of a falling out. Again, it's very, it's very kids movie trope stuff, but whatever. So then we cut to the pirates, and they decide they're going to send... I keep forgetting his name. He's got like 15 names in the show, but anyway, they're going to send him into the airlock, and he's going to be pushed out into space. And then it keeps cutting to this woman, and I'm like, wait, this person's part of the pirates? Really? Like, again, I know we're in an era of, like, everything's got to be diverse, but, like, an old lady being part of this, like, rugged, awful pirate group it's both not believable, because then they're not awful, and they're not tyrannical, and they're not rough, and they're not awful. But it's also not believable because an old lady doesn't want to be in that environment. So this is super weird that she's even there. Why would they even allow her to be there? Okay. So basically, Pirate Code, he gets to have his, like, defense for the time allotted in the whatever plasma hourglass thing. And he convinces them that he knows where At-Atten is and where the mint is, that you can print Republic credits. So they spare his life for the time being. So basically he's not going to get thrown out the airlock just yet. Okay. So then out of nowhere again, KB's can't move again because her whatever lines are corroded or something. I don't know. So Wim's got to run around and gather stuff again. The plot contrivances are a little much, but the characters are cool characters. I don't know. It's just kind of a nothing. This show's just meh. I don't know what else to say. And then I guess the character arcs needed to be expanded upon, and so they needed an excuse for KB to sort of reveal what her relationship with Fern is really like. And it turns out Fern's not very nice to her either, and doesn't really understand her situation, and doesn't take it seriously enough. And so they have this thing where Wim has to help fix her thing she's got attached to her brain from whatever accident it was. So whatever, he does that. And what we're learning here is that Fern is exactly who you thought she was from the first episode. She's a little bit of a bee. You know, her arc appears to be kind of the most important in the show. I think a lot of us thought that Wim's was going to be the main role and the driver of the plot and the driver of the character arcs, but no, it turns out it's Fern. Everybody seems to have issues with Fern one way or another, whether it's Wim, whether it's KB. Even Neil in this episode, they're climbing up, and you know he's arguing with her. She's very argumentative, so she's the driver of the story, and it is disappointing that they had to go down that road again. You know, the angsty teenage girl arc, and everything revolves around that. That's a very Disney thing. If you think back to like Disney, the Disney Channel, all those shows that like, what's her name, Miley Cyrus was on, and Selena Gomez, and all those people. That was what the shows were about, is like angsty teenage girls. So kind of disappointed that that's the route they decided to go. But this episode definitely solidifies that. I guess we'll see what Wim's role is going forward, because he's the optimistic kid who dreams about being a Jedi and was all like wanting to go out and discover space. So it'll be very nice to see what they do here. But it is kind of disappointing that it's, again, an angsty teenage girl plot. So whatever. And then KB reveals to Wim that he literally just saved her life, which contradicts what I was just saying about the whole plot situation. But again, it does seem to be centered around Fern. And again, we'll see. Maybe there'll be more of that. But yeah, he technically saved her life by fixing her brain mechanism thingy. The other thing I like about this episode too, right now, is that at least, like, I'm really happy to know that that thing wasn't just for Vision or just some eye thing, that it is a bigger issue. It's almost like she's got like a nervous system vertigo combo thing going on, but way better than just being like an eye thing. So thankfully that's not all it is. And okay, so they follow the crabs to the crab's mom or whatever. One thing about this that actually is cool is that this was done completely with stop motion. So rather than going the CGI route with this giant crab, they actually went the traditional route, and I think it looks way better. If I'm not mistaken, the actual model is like almost like the size of a basketball. But anyway, I just thought I'd mention that because I think that's cool that they went back to that rather than doing just CGI. I'm CGI'd out at this point with just everything. And again, it's too convenient for the plot, but as Neil and again, a little too convenient. Of course, Neil and Fern are climbing up to get to the ship, and then it just so happens that the garbage collectors pick the ship up and start bringing it down to the dump, where obviously, you know, Wim and KB are already, and then Neil and Fern, they don't show it, but somehow they end up on this little sticky outy platform and jump onto the ship that's being lowered into the dump. Okay, little convenient. There's a lot of that. There's, like I said earlier, with the slide and everything at the beginning, you know, it just happens to be the one booby trap that doesn't kill you. There's a lot of plot contrivance. I do like the characters again, but the plot contrivance is a little ridiculous sometimes. Yes, so at this point I don't really understand how you can control that garbage lift thing with a joystick on top. Like, I guess they're droids, but like, why? I guess I don't know. It's too convenient. It's a convenient plot thing where she's actually using a joystick on the outside of the droid garbage thing and pulling the ship around and stuff. So then all the kids have this moment. They're all a team again. The girls hug and they're best friends again. And I guess leading into the last two episodes, they're united in you know, in their ness. Whatever. Again, a cute scene. It's the character stuff is fine. So then it's just everything's crabs in this episode. They have these weird, the way the writers do Star Wars now. They get kind of fixated on one thing. This episode, it's crabs. So you had the real crab, you had the baby crabs, and now we've got the giant garbage-consuming garbage crab. Like, stuff like that. Like, have it be something a little bit different. It doesn't have to be crabs for everything. Like, I know crabs are fun. The mama crab was cool, but this is corny. And, of course, the crab thing for, you know, garbage incinerator is just about at their ship, so they're trying to get their ship out of there. And then, again, unfortunately, you know, to get the ship going, you know, KB goes down and smacks the thing with a metal bar or something like that, smacks it, and that's what gets the throttle going. And it's like, oh, we've seen this so many times. Do something different. Why does it always, oh, I punched it and it works now? The other thing you notice is the crab thing is putting giant holes in the ship. So how's that going to work when they get into space if they do get out of here? Like, it's put multiple holes in the hull of the ship. You can't have open holes in space in your ship, right? So again, it's going to be some plot contrivance that fixes it or something. Okay, so then again, in a very fortunate situation, see, this is where this show is super stupid. So Fern, in a last-ditch effort, pushes the button they were told never ever to push, and what that does is basically sheds the ship of its outer layer. Which, why would you build a ship with that? This is literally the only application where you would need to shed the skin of the ship. Like, that doesn't make any sense, except for that it works for the plot to continue. I don't know why they went with this crab thing. There was a million other things they could have done. This was pretty stupid. Like, you guys let me know in the comment section, is there ever a point where you would need that on a ship? Like, is there any other application ever you could ever think of where that would be good to have? other than a giant crab incinerator trying to grab your ship. So there you go. And then Fern's steering the ship, and of course we have to have the bow go down and touch the ground, turn around, like we saw with Rey in The Force Awakens with the Falcon. Guys, you gotta start thinking of new ideas, man. Honestly, like, I think as much as I'm not a big fan of Filoni at all in any capacity, Favreau has had some good stuff in Star Wars, but part of it is I think these guys have just been doing this for too long. They don't have any ideas anymore. Everything's just a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy. Even this show is essentially a copy, right? It's based on Goonies and stuff like that. I think they're just, even if they knew what they were doing, which they don't, even if they did, I think maybe there's a point where you're just in it for too long. You've been doing too much stuff, too much content, and you have no new ideas, and it's just rehashing the same things over and over. Okay, so another thing I forgot to mention was that the crab was crawling after them, the big mama crab, and they just kind of weren't scared anymore and just waited to see their friends, see Neil and Fern when she was steering the garbage thing. They just kind of, there's a part where the crab's like walking right up behind them and Wim's just like kicking the little ones around and stuff and doesn't even care. So Bryce, you missed that one. So now obviously it's set up for they're going to AT-AT and the pirates are going to AT-AT and there's going to be a big showdown. How they got to this point, again, is, if you watch any of my other reviews, there's just way too many weird plot conveniences. It's not okay to just say, well, it's a kid's show, so you can have stupid plot points. No, I disagree. I think you can have... that's just you're making excuses for the writers. Because like I said, they could have done things differently if they wanted to. They just chose not to. There is issues with the plot. There's a lot of convenience. A lot of stuff that's been just rehashed millions of times. So, again, this episode, for me, character-wise, was perfectly fine. I kind of enjoyed it in that sense, but plot contrivances and convenience wreck it. So you've got, again, another like 4 out of 10. You know, I like that they did the stop motion thing and all that, but assuming you didn't know that, I mean, it's a 4 out of 10. It just doesn't hit. It's just kind of, it's meh. Like, I don't know what else to say. It's just meh. Is it worth watching? I guess to a degree, if you're really like Goonies and Star Wars. It doesn't have a really Star Wars-y feel to it, I'll tell you that much. But it is a cute show, especially in terms of like the kids and the actors and the way that the characters interact with each other. It is in that sense. So I guess if that's what you're into, check it out. But honestly, it's not very good. It's just kind of whatever. Anyways, guys, let me know in the comment section what you think. If you like this content, please like, subscribe, what's up to the channel. Feel free to check anything else on my channel. Have yourselves a really good day.